Hello everybody, Corey here. I'm going to go over the daily roundup for today. Just a reminder, I'm not a qualified licensed investment or financial advisor. I just gather the data, present it to you. YieldMax ETFs are extremely risky, but to find out possible future of the YieldMax ETFs and changes, make sure you check out Max's interview with Jay yesterday. Alright, I'm going to try to go through this pretty quickly. For those of you unfamiliar with this, I'm going to show you lots of data on the screens. I'm not going to read every single number on the screen, so please pause the video and look at the very specific ETFs that you're looking for, but all of the YieldMax ETFs are on here. So anyway, for the trades for these, at the top, the single stock ETFs and YBIT, these are the total trades. As far as YBIT goes at the bottom, with that data check there, that's because this wasn't a synthetic or short call or anything. This is where they ended up getting assigned for one of their contracts and the purchase of the stock. And then, of course, on the short calls there, or the synthetics, man, I can't even talk, the short ETFs in the data check column, those are the long trades because we don't have a column for the long calls. All right, and then Alti trades in a separate video, which I'm probably not going to do because it's already late and I have to get up early for something tomorrow morning. So I apologize for all of those really wanting to see the Ulti. Here are all the, I'm going to zoom out more. We're getting too many on here. Here's all the net assets for all the ETFs, the outstanding shares, the current stock price, the NAV for each one of those, and the difference between the current stock, which was the close price on the 22nd of August, and then the NAV. All right, so I'm going to move on. So then here we have the close date, the close price on the 21st, then the close price on the 22nd, the difference between those in cents, and then the difference in percentages. As far as those outside of the 1%, we have AIYY being down 3%, AMZ down 2%, Coney down 3%, Murney was down 5%. I need to apparently look up why Murney dropped so much. Misty is down 2%, NVD down 3%, Snowy was down 10%. You can see it dropped $2.03. Of course, it had earnings last night. Squee dropped 2%. Tesla dropped 5%. TSMY dropped 2%. And then, of course, all the short ETFs went up. Crash was up 4%. Dips up 3%. Fiat up 2%. And then, why not? YQQQ was up 1%. The only other one outside of the shorts being up was JPMO, which was up 1%. YMAG and YMAX were down 2%. And then if we go here to our underlying ETFs, that you have all of the IVs here. Then we have the 21st close price and then today's 22nd close price, and then the difference between those. So almost all of these are outside of 1% change. There's only about 4, well, there's about a little bit more, only a small portion. But Airbnb was down 2%, AI down 3%, AMD was down 4%, Amazon down 2%, Coin down 4%, GDX down 2%, Moderna down 6%, Microsoft down 2%, MicroStrategy down 5%, Nvidia down 4%, ARC down 3%, Snow was down 15%, Squee down 3%, Tesla down 6%, TSM down 3%, and then even Bitto down there was down 2%. So Moderna, so that's one that MRNS. see anything quick. Yeah, I didn't see anything. I know there's an update, which you would think that would be good news, but FDA approves updated COVID vaccines for Pfizer and Moderna. So you would think that would be good news. Updated COVID. Pfizer. Yeah, I don't know. I do not know. Well, this right here, of course it says 1 day, so I don't know exactly what 1 day is here. But it looks like their target was updated by somebody. It does say August 22nd. This is 11:37, so I'm guessing that means 1 day means today's the 23rd, and this came out on the 22nd. So 1 day, even 12 hours ago in reality here. So maybe that is why the stock went down today. I'm trying to see. Of course, I don't see it showing up over here just yet. All right. All right, anyway, let's move on. So now we want to compare the underlying. Well, usually I'm looking here to see the difference between the YieldMax ETF and the underlying. So anything outside, again, 1%. So we have AMD here. AMDY went down 1%, while AMD went down 4%. So that's 3% difference. Then we have GDXY went down 1%, or around 1, with GDX being down around 2. But apparently rounded, there's about a 2% difference between those numbers. Same thing with Murni and Moderna. Murni was down around 4, with Moderna being down around 6%. So Murni did better around 2%. Misty was down about 2%, with MicroStrategy being down around 5%. So Murni did about 3% better. Same thing with OARC and ARC. OARC was down, it's down some, but underneath the 0.5%. Yeah, less than 0.5%. And then ARC was down about 3%, making it OARC doing better by 3%. And then Snow, of course, shows it being down around 10%. With Snow being down around 15%. So rounded, Snowy did about 4% better here. And then YBIT, same thing. YBIT was down about 0%. BITO was down 2%, so it did better by 2%. So out of all of these, so there's 25 there of the single stock ETFs in YBIT, and 3 of the underlying did better. So I don't know why I wrote 4 at the bottom, but it should have been 3. Not that it matters, but I'm going to change it because it bothers me. All right, and then 22, yeah, because I changed. I had to manually update the TSMY numbers in there. But yeah, 3 of the underlying did better than the YieldMax ETF, and that was Zomo, PayPal, and JPMO. All right, so moving on. So the days to recovery. So here's where we stand at this point. Of course, nobody else recovered today. But this is where we stand. And then we go into the short ETFs. So only one of these is maxed out still, and that's PayPay. I think it's 71 something dollars. It's actually gone up the past several days, and I really don't even know why. But it's been going up even today when everything else went down. So everybody else is underneath at least their maximum strike prices. If you want to see in detail all of the strike prices and which ones are over, under, how many contracts are with each, everything, you would watch the holdings and trades video. And then of course you have your short value, how this affects the stock, and the percentage that it affects the stock price. And then we have the synthetics here. Of course, Coney has 3 synthetics now, so the third one is not shown here because there's only enough room for 2 of the synthetics. And then it shows you who's above their synthetic and who's below it. So you can see all the ones below it is at least for the long ETFs here. Of course, it would be the opposite for the short ETFs. And trying to think what some of those stock prices are down there. For some reason, I think those percentages are backwards, or the colors are wrong. But I can't remember all those stock prices. So I gotta find them. Tesla. Okay, so it's not down at the bottom, so I've got to look at the top. So Tesla, goodness. Yeah, Tesla was at 210. So we were still above. Oh, I don't know. Okay, so we're looking, I'm thinking about the wrong one. We're on the synthetic, not the short call. The short put in that case, sorry. Yeah, for the synthetics at the top, for the long ETFs, of course, you want the stock price to be above the synthetic price. For the shorts down here, you want the synthetic to be below the synthetic amount. In this case, Tesla is at like 210, so it is below it, the $5.64. So those are right. They just seemed off. I guess looking at that dips one saying it's under at 18%. So hold on, dips is NVIDIA, right? Like, I can't see like these stock prices side by side with them. So that's sort of irritating. Yeah, so 123. And you want it to be under, so it is, okay, so that is right. Wow, how did we get, like, well, I guess that synthetic could have been put on, I don't know, when we were in that time when everything tanked at the beginning of the month. Otherwise, I don't even know why that would be that 105, because it's like so far away. Anyway, okay. For some reason, I thought my color codes might have been wrong. And I only said that because for some reason, some of these were wrong the other day, and I had to copy stuff over, or reformat it from another one. So I might have had done it wrong. So or not done it wrong. It might not have formatted over properly because all these were gone. But anyway, so it took too long looking at that. So we have those, and then of course this synthetic value, how it affects the stock price, and the ETF stock price, and then of course the percentage. And this is my data check, and then I was going to go over this, but I don't know that I had the capacity to. And I don't know, I'll try to go over it since I'm here. For this case, though, it may not be that great because we're going into a Friday and stuff. But, so for those of you that have watched, and I've talked about a couple of times this past week about, here, let me just show you in case you haven't. So on here, I had started and I built these few columns. And then, so like in this case, I was like, oh, okay, well, this has an upside of about 73 cents. It has one short call. That's easy. So it has an upside of about 7.3%. And it was ranking in as number 2. But that's strictly on the short call. When it comes to something like this, where there's more than one short call, it's summing those together. So it's not accounting for, like when I usually tell you amount, when I go through this and I look to see, okay, well, how many shares do we have at each of these contract prices? What's the upside about? What do we think we could get here for upside, right? So I would look at this one and see that about 25% of them are at a lower strike price than this one here. Of course, then this is a higher strike price with the majority of the contracts. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe about a 40-cent upside here. So I'm like mentally doing that. If it was down here at the bottom and this was the majority of the contracts, then I would give you a possible upside of whatever that is. Because then that's even worse, because that means it's going to even go way more negative as it goes up. But anyway, so I do those mental things, and that's just for the short calls, right? That doesn't include possible upside for the synthetic. And so here, again, short call only. But here, when it's adding those, it's not doing that adjustment. And so it's sort of taking into account the possible upside for the synthetic as well if you're just adding these together, because you're not taking into account for that negative that's happening to these short calls here, while it's getting closer to this one. So then I felt, well, me doing that in this ranking wasn't ideal, because these two are doing different things. And I don't even know that I like this yet, but so I did this yesterday, I think, and then tonight I just haven't looked at it really, and I have to see, maybe Monday night or something, I'll look at it. So what I did is I did this. I actually had everything in one column, and then as I was explaining that the other night, then I was like, this doesn't make sense because I'm not comparing apples to apples. So then what I did here is I broke this out into 2 columns. So you can see here, so these are the number of short calls. So these are all that have one short call, and that's ranking them against each other here. And then we have the ones with multiple short calls at the bottom on the other side. But in here, this is saying, okay, well, this one, of course, it's AIYY on top of that, but it has a possible upside of about 7.3% if you think that it's actually going to go up. So some of these, even though it has a high percentage, doesn't really mean you still want to invest in it, because it still may, or trade in it, because it still may not have any, even though it's possible, some of these it's just not possible, you know what I'm saying? So just to put that out there. But it's just a ranking, sort of like here with PayPay. Like if I'm on Monday and we're already over our strike price, especially anybody that's like trading or swing trading and not trying to hold these forever, right? And say you want to buy it on Monday and you want some upside and see if you can make some money off of it for the week. Well, why would you buy something that's capped? And this will help, right? Of course, to me, I'm looking at this and thinking about this. This would, to me, be more like for Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, maybe trades, or looking at for the week in hopes things would go up, before the end of the week. But I definitely wouldn't want to be buying something that was already capped for the whole week and not going anywhere, unless it, you know, obviously it goes down at some point. But anyway, so then you have the multiple ones over here. This is just because the stock prices are coming through Google, right? Just yet, only because it's brand new. The other ones I had hand typed things in, and I didn't do that here. But again, this one is now taken into account. So this one would have been the ones are just accounting for one short call, possible upside, no synthetic, no nothing. This has to be, you know, the short call with some adjustments with the expectation of a synthetic, you know, counteracting some of the negatives for the short calls. Because if you're going over, again, you're going over one strike price, which means now you're going to pay to close that one. So that's going to be more negative, even though you might get some upside for the other. So when I do those short calls and I do those adjustments in my head, that's me saying one short call cancels the other out. In this case, it's just adding up all the potential upside, not regardless if anything's going to cancel anything out, meaning that there has to be some possible upside for the short call. So again, I know I probably explained that probably even the same way multiple times versus multiple ways, and you still may not understand. So I apologize if I'm not explaining that well or good. But at least now these are being compared to each other versus down here. Because to me, it's different if you're looking at like this one versus this one, right? This one probably, you know, AIYY could probably go up that way too if we take into account some synthetic stuff, which we're not doing. I'm not, you know, doing that. This one up here just is, you know, an effect of possibly. And then like here you can even see BABO has 3 short calls, but the sum of its stuff is still stating there's no upside for either one of these for the week. Even though I know this one has 3 short calls and it's only above one of the strike prices. It's above it so much that, you know, it's saying that it still can't go up anymore. Anyway, I don't know if y'all care or have thoughts about this. I don't know. Again, I think it's mainly for those that may be trying to do some swing trading or something and want to look to see who has the highest potential upside versus others. Again, just because it has the highest potential doesn't mean it's going to be a stock you want to buy. But yeah, anyway, and then of course you have YBIT down here by its lonesome. It is ranked within here, but it's not. It doesn't sort with it because I have it not to sort with the regular single stock long ETFs at the top. But anyway, I will let y'all go, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.